Hello, everybody, and welcome to more Political Excess. Today, let's take a look at the South Carolina governor's election. Yesterday, I did the U.S. Senate election. Let's just finish up South Carolina and see where the governor's race is at. It's probably not going to be super competitive, but let's take a look at it anyway. Let's get on Ballotpedia and get a little bit of background. So the current governor is Republican Henry McMaster. Previously to serving as governor, he was the lieutenant governor, and he assumed the office once Nikki Haley resigned, and he was elected back in 2018 to a full term, and he's seeking re-election now to a second term. 4 years ago, he did win by about 8 points, so a comfortable margin, but not a blowout. His opponent on the Democratic side is Joe Cunningham. Cunningham was in the U.S. House. He served one term and was defeated 2 years ago in his bid for re-election. So let's take a look at their primaries. Well, Joe Cunningham did have a semi-competitive primary. He did prevail with 56% of the vote over Mia McLeod, who had almost 31%. And on the Republican side, Henry McMaster, he had only token opposition. He won with 84% of the vote. And comparing the raw vote totals, it's actually the Democrats that did have more there with 147,000 votes, and Republicans had just under 134,000. I don't put much weight on raw primary vote totals, but if you do, the Democrats actually there did have an edge. Let's jump down here and see how this race is rated. All three of the rating sites, Cook, Inside Elections, and Sabado, all have it at solid or safe Republican. My own rating would be safe Republican. I think it will be right around 10 points, somewhere in the low double-digit vicinity. It's not impossible it gets down to 8 or 9 points. The state can be a little bit more competitive than, let's say, Tim Scott's race, where he won by 24 points last time. For the governor, or for someone like Lindsey Graham, the other U.S. senator, those races do get down to 10 points, even slightly less sometimes. But McMaster is nearly certain to win, very likely, by at least 5 points, and there's a decent chance it gets over 10. So if we go down here and take a look at the county trends to see how they voted on a presidential level, 71.8% of the population lives in a county that is solid Republican. Those are counties that voted for Mitt Romney and Donald Trump 2 times. On the other hand, 23.6% of the population lives in solid Democratic counties. Those voted for Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and then Joe Biden. So that is fairly lopsided, but there's still a lot of blue vote, even within some of these counties, that have stuck with the Republicans on a national level. There's not many counties that are trending in the last 3 cycles, but the Republicans do have about 4 to 5% that are moving in their direction. So it is a polarized state. There is definitely a lot of blue vote here. It's not as red as some of the other deep red states. And some of these counties, of course, might be trending one way or the other, but they have yet to flip on a presidential level. And while most of these counties are solid red or blue, most of these margins for president are not complete landslides. One candidate or the other usually got between 50 and 70% of the vote. There's not really any of these 80 to 20% counties like in some of these other states. Allendale County was the bluest that I could find, with over 75% for Joe Biden, and Pickens County was the reddest one I could find at 74.5% for Donald Trump. The most populous county is Greenville, and that has 58% for Trump, 40% for Biden. And 4 years ago, McMaster won that county 58 to 42%. Let's switch over to YouTube and see what they've got on their channels. I think this is Henry McMaster's channel. He doesn't really have any ads on here. He's got some press conferences. He's got some events he's done, but not really anything for this campaign. That's kind of a letdown. Doesn't really seem to be putting himself out there, at least as far as his YouTube channel. Let's check out Joe Cunningham's channel. He's got a recent ad he's put out. He's got a couple other ones from a few months ago. Then he's got some older stuff from back when he was preparing for his primary. So he doesn't have a ton, but he's got some stuff out there. I think he knows he's an underdog. But what about debates? Well, there is one set up for October 26th. That's great. It'd be nice if there was more than one, but one is better than none. It is pretty late in the campaign season. I believe early voting does start slightly before that. I would like to have debates take place prior to early voting, since you never know what could happen. So that'll be something to watch, especially if you're from South Carolina. You're going to want to take a look at that debate. So let's switch over to Wikipedia. We could take a look at endorsements here. There's not a ton. McMaster has the Trump endorsement, a few others. Cunningham has Doug Jones from Alabama. But as of now, there's not really a ton of endorsements. So let's go down to the polling. There's 3 polls here, all of them from late last month. All 3 of them show McMaster with a lead, but anywhere from 7 to 12 points. Those might not be the best polling firms, but it's something, and they're probably fairly accurate. Right around that 10-point margin, I'd say, is what's expected. Let's compare these polls to 2018 to see how they matched up. So back then, McMaster won 54 to about 46%. There's not a lot of polls, but they basically got McMaster fairly accurately. James Smith, the Democrat, his support was underestimated by a number of points toward the end. This really only got attention from Trafalgar, and this is not one of their better polls. So that's a look at the South Carolina governor's race. Joe Cunningham is supposed to be more moderate. I guess that's the Democrat strategy on how to win in a red state. It's probably not going to work. The fact that Joe Cunningham lost re-election after 1 term, it's not a good look for him. But I guess that's what happens in a district like that. Once you lose, somehow you have a high profile now and you're supposed to go on to statewide office. It happens on both sides, many states. It makes a little bit of sense, but it also just kind of comes off as desperate. So having said all that, Henry McMaster, one of the oldest governors in office, is poised to win re-election. So let me know what you think of this race down below in the comments. Are you following it? Do you think Joe Cunningham could somehow make it closer? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoy this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the next video.